Welcome back on the AM show, and even as we speak about that stretch, there's more to be spoken about when it comes to our Drive Safe campaign. Now, what are the 5 things you would do that you would find to be the most important if you were driving and it started raining, pelting down with rain? That's something that could save your life. Now, this morning we're going to focus on that, but let me also let you know that we'd like for this to be interactive, and so we'd love to hear from you as well. We'll be putting our phone line on the screens shortly, so you can also call in and share your thoughts. But we engaged transport consultant Cecil Gabra. He joins us with some tips. And if we have Cecil Gabra, let me just say a very good morning. Hello, Mr. Gabra. Good morning.
Good morning, and how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
Okay. Very well too.
Great. So this is a very topical issue. The rains can come at any time, and especially with our changing weather patterns. You could be driving and all of a sudden it starts to rain. But the problem is many people drive when it's raining as though it were not raining. And that is what sometimes causes accidents. So this morning, as we have this conversation, we'd like you to highlight 5 key points, crucial ones that you feel are preeminent, if you like, in terms of driving when it's raining. And I'll just start with this bit, Mr. Gabra, especially for people like me who are four-eyed, if you like, who use glasses. When it rains, it becomes even more difficult, especially when lights are flashing from the other side into your eyes and all of that. So many things. And then when it rains, it becomes even worse. What are the things to take stock of that you'd like to share with us this morning?
Thank you, and good morning once again. Some accidents have been reported, a lot of times, and then drivers fail to follow the steps when it is raining, right? Since you don't have much time, I have almost about 20. But let me go through what I have.
So Mr. Gabra, let's do this. If you can hear me, Mr. Gabra, let's cover as many as possible, because you never know whom you might be helping. So let's be brief with them, but let's cover as many as possible and delve into them.
Many times. Number 1 is your wiper. Your wiper blades, naturally, your wiper blades must be soft and must be able to clean so well. You need to change them at least every 3 months, because we are in Ghana, we are in Africa. It becomes very hard, very brittle, and they may break, right? Just fancy if you're driving and then you put your wiper on, and by the time you look at your screen cannot wipe. That's a big issue. So 3 months maximum, change it. 2, do you have good tires?
Mr. Gabriel, before you go on,
you would have to.
Good. My apologies for interjecting, but with each point, we might have to do some follow-up. So I have also found out that sometimes it is advisable to park if you think the rain is pelting too hard. In the case where someone's windshield wipers are not working and it's pouring heavily, you cannot see even 5 meters ahead of you, what would be your advice? To park?
Well, of course, the best thing to do is to park your vehicle. You cannot drive when it's raining and then you don't have good wipers. So find somewhere else and park. You must not even move the vehicle unless the rain has totally stopped. If it is a very serious case, you have to go with public transport, because once you cannot see, you cannot drive. So park your vehicles, right? I hope that's quite enough for this explanation. I was talking about tires, which is number 2. You need very good tires. At least your tread limit must not be less than 1.6 millimeters, because in driving you have something we call aquaplaning. Water must ooze out in between the treads, and then your tire must always be dry so that you can have the contact, that's the braking effect on the road, depending on the type of road. Anyway, when it's asphalt, it is much more better, right? 3, take your time naturally when you're driving. Okay, there's nothing like slowing down. You actually need to slow down, because the road becomes very, very slippery. And then you know what? The most dangerous part of the race is that when it is drizzling, it is rather very, very dangerous. The roads becomes very slippery. And remember that one of the most dangerous times is as soon as the rain rather begins, because you have these oils on the road, a lot of oil leakages on the road are there. And then when water touches on, because of the heat, it becomes very dangerous for you to drive on. And if you don't take care, you go on your brakes will not work. So bear in mind that you need to slow down when it begins to rain, rather, right? Don't rush to your destination. Just wait. Continue to wait. And then if the rains are down, you can go, because if the rains are very serious and you are driving, you never know which tree is going to break down. Your headlights, turn your headlights on and help other vehicles to see you. Never drive with your parking lights. Parking lights are meant for parking. Okay. And then in Ghana, when it's 6 o'clock or when the weather is changing, you realize that many people try to put on their headlights by putting on their parking lights on. This is so wrong. And I repeat, it's so wrong. Don't drive with your parking lights when it is raining or even in the evening. You need to put on your headlights on. Your headlights must see up to 40 meters. That is your low beam, and then your high beam must see up to 100 meters. If you don't have it, just go to DVLA. You pay, I think it's about 32 cedis for it to be adjusted. So turn your lights. Keep a firm grip on your steering, okay? Whilst you are driving, you need a lot more of concentration. Then keep your radios and so on off. You need to listen to the sound of your vehicle. Give yourself more space. Add 1 or 2 extra seconds of concentration because you never know what is in front of you. Now, you also need to follow the vehicle in front of you when it's raining. And then remember that all of you are driving at a certain speed, very slow speed. You don't need to drive at a a very faster speed. So slow down, don't drive too fast. And never drive in floods. When you see any flood water, don't drive into it. I mean, it's so tricky. Never think you have a 4x4 vehicle and then you can go through. Look, if you want proper training on 4x4, you come to me, I'll teach you. 4x4 is not an amphibian. It is for a purpose. And if it is water, you don't drive through water that has got current underneath it. When it's raining, it is always dangerous for you to drive when you see deep water, because you have a 4x4, forget about it. Well, a lot of people have lost their lives. In worse conditions that are you are not able to drive in the rain, the best thing to do is park your vehicle.
Right.
Park your vehicle and then wait till the rains go down. So wipers are very important. Coming back to it, please make sure you change your wipers every 3 months, because it is not any good thing. I'm done.
Okay, so I'm going to highlight some of the points you made, and maybe let's start from one of those you ended with, driving through flood water and all of that. It's a risk, a mistake a lot of people make, and it has cost us a number of lives. But what should be your reaction, especially when you're on a stretch? It may not be flooded, but it has a lot of puddles of water here and there. What should be your reaction when driving on such a stretch, when it's pelting rain?
If it's a saloon vehicle, just keep off. Don't try at all. But if you know the road and it's a 4x4, that even you need what we call a recce. That's a military term for the military. If you can get somebody to do your recce by walking through the water to see whether it's so clear to drive and you are reducing the 4x4, then you will change to your low gear. A lot of people don't even know how to change that gear. You don't touch that gear when you are driving. You have to put it on neutral. The rest of it, that's my trick. When you come, I'll teach you for a little fee, right? So if you are driving the 4x4, never think that it's an amphibian and then you've seen water and then you can just drive through. No, you don't do that. Better still, there's always some current under the water. Don't try to drive Park your vehicle. Save your family, save your lives. Make sure that you arrive alive in one piece and not in pieces. That is my best advice. Don't drive through floodwaters.
Okay, let's take apart something that you've not mentioned, but I think it's equally relevant: heavy braking. Now, some people, though it is raining, they still speed. And in speeding, you'd notice that, well, the traction of your tires and everything is affected. Now, you realize that all of a sudden there's a car ahead of you and there's the likelihood of smashing into the rear of that car. How dangerous is heavy braking when it's raining?
You know, whenever it's raining and then you're driving, water goes into your brake pads. And then you need to be tapping on your brakes as you're driving for the brake pads to be dry. That's the disc to be dried. Okay, right. So I spoke of the issue that don't drive fast. So if you're not driving fast, you will not need any heavy braking. Right? Why do you have to drive fast? You can't even see ahead, and then you are driving fast. The best speed that you can drive when it is raining, even on the highway, must not exceed 20 kilometers per hour. So you don't need that heavy braking. But remember always to tap your brakes when it is raining for a while. It's for two purposes. One, it gets your discs to be dry. And then the second thing is that it warns other vehicles who are driving behind you.
Okay, so getting to some other aspect, let's talk about the tires. Before this conversation, I got into some matters, and I think I heard you mention aquaplaning, but hydroplaning is also another concept, and it appears when you are going at a certain speed, over 30 miles per hour, and if certain things happen, if your tire does not have enough traction, some people use a tire for so long and don't change it, and you'd see that the tire has worn off. How dangerous can it be in terms of skidding or whatever? What should be the average that a person should be going at in terms of speed?
Yeah, it is always very dangerous to drive in the rain if you don't have very good tires. So the best thing to do is that you make sure that you have very good tires. Your tires must be within the 6-year range, okay, whether it is new or old. Tires which are more than 6 years will give you problems. And then your tire tread must not be less than 1.6 millimeters. You can even put a coin in and then check it. Your tire must not have cracks. Your tire must be good enough because definitely if your tires are not good, your braking system will not work. And just like I said, the tread limit is very important, 1.6 millimeters. That must be it. That will take you through the range and take you through other roads.
What would you suggest? You said the bit about the coin. Can you elaborate a bit more on that? Because I know for certain, I mean, look at our trotros, look at our commercial vehicles, look at a lot of the private vehicles on the road. People simply don't check their tires often. Very few people go for maintenance as often as they ought to. So what should people be looking out for with regard to their tires to avoid some of these problems? Because the rain can set in at any time.
You know, there's a tread limit gauge, which will be difficult for anybody to get. But then if you use a coin, you can put a coin on a ruler, okay? And then naturally, you can know whether your tire limit is less than the 1.6 measure or more than that, right? So that's the simplest way to know whether your tire tread limit is within the limit. However, you must have very good tires. Like I said, your tires must not, I wouldn't like to use the word expire, but from the manufacturing date, it should be within a period of 6 years. And how to do that is so simple. When you check your tires, you can find the dates, the embossment on it, and it is 4 figures at this particular time. For instance, if you bought a tire and you have seen where the manufacturing date is, and it is, let's say, 25/07, it means that your tire was manufactured on the 20th week of the year 2007. This is one example. If it is manufactured in, let's say 2020, and it is 2020 written on it, then your tire was manufactured on the 20th week of the year 2020. It means you have 6 more years 5 years to go. Okay, so that gives you a sign of a very good tire. Number 1, 2, the tread limit. 3, you must make sure that you fix the right tire on your vehicle. You must not fix anything like balloon tires and so on. Open the door of your vehicle and it will give you the right specifications. It also gives you your PSI, which is the pounds per square inches of the pressure of the tire that you need. A lot of people either do under inflation or over inflation. So you need to check all this before you set off. The rains are coming and you need good tires to drive.
Right. Very important points you make. Before I move on to the very next question, as you can see rolling on your screen, that number there, the call line 0302 211 691 extension 2. You can call us on that number and share your thoughts, your concerns, any questions you have for Mr. Gabriel on WhatsApp 0540 109 009. But Mr. Gabriel, let's assume the worst is happening. You're going a bit speedily. It's raining. Your traction is not that good, and your car goes into a skid. You know, let's assume somewhere on the motorway. So you are getting into a bit of a spin. What are the emergency measures you can bring to bear? What is the thing you should be going to? What should you do with your car gears, your shifting, and all of that? Your braking. What should you do?
You know, in driving, we have what we call the braking distances, stopping distances, and so on, right? In the first place, I would not recommend anybody to drive at a speed for you to control your gears. Why do you have to drive? Unless maybe it is not raining and then you are skidding off. But if it is raining and then you are skidding off, then it means that you have done something which you shouldn't do, which is speed. You must not speed within a certain speed when it is raining. And that speed is more than that that you must not speed more than 20 kilometers per hour when it's raining. And that is why I'm saying that for the best thing, just park your vehicle, wait in your vehicle, park at a very good place, not under a tree, at a plain place, not in water, so that you allow the rains to move.
Okay.
Because
so Mr. Gabriel,
you have other, erosions, such as the rain could easily wear off the road that you think is a good road. So, right. In any case, if you are driving more than that speed, of course, 4th, 5th speed, 6th speed even cannot help. The best gear that you have to select is the first speed. Okay. And if it's clutch, brake, and accelerator system, which is the manual system, make sure that you pick your foot off the clutch entirely. Because if your foot is on the clutch and then you are driving, you will give the vehicle that opportunity to go forward, and that there will be no resistance. And that is what a lot of taxi drivers, structural drivers do. They put it on the neutral, and right. They feel they are, conserving fuel. No, you need to put your foot off the clutch so that your braking system will be very effective. If you're driving an automatic vehicle, it is already on automatic. So what you need to do is to be tapping your brakes and then reducing your speed. If you are descending down the hill, a lot of people get confused that the 1, 2, 3 that is on the automatic car is for speed. No, it is for descending and accelerating at a very serious hill and valley. So when you're going down the valley, you don't drive on the normal speed. You have to drive depending on the valley. The depth of the valley, you select your either second gear right. of the automatic vehicle, right. And that must be it.
Very good information there. Now, let's answer some questions. We have some callers on the line. Fred is from Kofridia. Fred, good morning. Hello, Fred. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining the conversation. What are your concerns?
Yeah, my concern is about, he spoke about the expiring dates of the tires.
Right.
Yeah, my concern is that, the manufacturer manufacture the tire based on the foreign standard. Their roads are very good. But comparing to our roads here, if the tire is supposed to last over 7 years or 5 years, and you are using the foreign standard to compare to our standard here, I think the tire cannot do that well in our country here. So based on that, what should we do? Should we reduce the number of years that we are supposed to use tire in Ghana here? compared to
Valid concern. Valid concern. Hold on, Mr. Gabriel. We have another caller, so we can just put them together and take that one. Thank you. Samuel from Sunyani. Samuel, good morning. Oh, apparently we've lost Samuel. So, Mr. Gabriel, we can go ahead and address that concern.
Yes, if you are purchasing a tie and then you see the inscription C, please don't purchase it, because C are not meant for Ghana. They are meant for Europe, as they drive in winter and very different weather conditions.
Mr. Gabriel, could you just repeat? If you see what? If you see what?
It's meant for Africa.
If you see what? Did you say C?
Yes, C is meant for winter.
Okay.
And therefore, you must not bring it to Ghana.
Right.
You must buy the tie with the inscription A, and that's why you need a lot of education on it. A is meant for Africa, for rough and difficult terrains. It has the inscription A. Or better still, you look for M+S, which means mud and snow. That's very current. Right. Now, ties within a period of time degrades. I mean, rubber degrades. So ties, whether you buy it new, and then I remember when I was a little boy, my dad would say, look, I bought a new tie, so go and keep it under the bed. That is so wrong. As soon as you purchase a tie, you have to start using it. And the manufacturing date is there. If, for instance, if you bought a brand new tie and the tie has got the inscription, manufacturing date, let's say 6 years ago, that is 2016. Okay, that means that you have only 1 year to use that tie. After that period of time, it becomes very dangerous. You have cracks, you have other bulges, and so on, and therefore it makes your life very dangerous. You start having punctures, and so on. So ties rubber in ties within a period of time degrades. So go in for the fresh tie with the inscription 2021 or 2020. And after that period of time, please change your ties. Don't wait for them to change you. You need to change your ties within that period of after 6 years, because they'll give you problems.
Okay.
So remember again, C is for snow ties and A is for summer or our dry ties, our dry season, because rubber degrades.
Okay, let's take, I have a concern, a follow-up question, but let's take Jacob from Labadi first. Jacob, good morning. Hello, Jacob.
Please. Hello.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. What is your question?
Okay, my question is, since the rains are coming down, people are going to drive in flats. I want Mr. Cecil to advise us on how to dry our brakes so that when we go through the flat, we'll know how to do it.
How to what?
Dry our brakes. People go through flat. Yes, people go through flat. And after the flat, they do not know what to do. So we want to understand if he has an idea, he can tell us how to do it when we go out of the flat. Right. By drying our brakes.
Okay. We also have Kingsley from Bolga. Kingsley, thanks for joining. What are your concerns?
Yes. My concerns was about the ties Mr. Gabriel was just talking about.
Right.
We've gotten to realize that these winter ties, ties are not meant for Africa, are everywhere. And I'm very sure if you do a survey, you realize that most of the ties we use in Ghana are not even meant for African conditions. How did these ties get into the country in the first place? And those are what is wasting us when it comes to this waveform. So how do we address such an issue?
Mr. Gabriel, I hope you are noting them down. We have a lot of callers, so we'll just exhaust a few of them before I come back to you. Michael is in Anumabo. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Your quick thoughts?
Yes, my concern is with the secondary accident that happens when there is a crash. You see these drivers, there is this seat, the top of it, they remove it and it's left with only a metal. In fact, most of our cars on the road have a lot of metals in them, exposed metals, which is very dangerous. I don't know, but we are not talking about that. Please, let's pay attention to it too. Thank you.
Great, especially in our public vehicles. So before I come to you, Mr. Gabriel, I also wanted to add, just as I think Kingsley expressed that concern, if that is the standard when it comes to tires, yet, for example, the cars that are imported into the country, a lot of them would not comply with what you are telling us. So what then do we do? I don't know what goes into the compliance from the DVLA and all of that, but what then should people be looking out for? When you see this, does it mean you have to change the entire set of tires if you've imported the vehicle into the country?
Yes. The real fact is that the vehicles that we purchase come with their tires, okay? And then you can see the car very nice. And there is a need for you to check the tires to know what tires are underneath the vehicle. It shouldn't be a case that, because the treads are good, and let me use the word, because they are not Sakura tires, you can drive them. That is totally wrong. You need to go through to check the tires to find out whether the date on the tire, that should be the first thing, conforms with road safety, which I again repeated that maximum is 6 years. If you have a tire and then the date is more than 6 years, then please, all what you need to do is to change them. The gentleman was asking, how do the tires come to Ghana? Well, of course, we have people who also move around Europe, especially when the farming season is over. You know, when the farming season is there, they use the tires to cover the tarpaulin when they do the harvest. After the harvest period, the tires must leave the farm yards. And that is where the Ghanaian or the African gets there and packs all these tires into the 40-footer or 20-footer container, gets to Tema Harbour. And of course, those in charge there will do their first selection. They get to Abosil Kai or Swami, and then others will also do their selection. But that is all wrong. Do they check to find out? Because in Europe, the MOT, which is like the DVLA, will give you the specifications that if your tire is less than the minimum tread limit of 1.6, you cannot use them. So they fail them. So when they fail them, that is where they find their way to Africa for us to use it. I feel we should, the laws are there. If you look at the LI 2180, it is stated that your tire limit must not be less than 1.6 millimeters by each tread. But again, I think we should have this check from where the entry point in Ghana, that is the Tema Harbour, to find out whether it is really an approved tire for us to use. And that is what is really killing us, because on the motorway, for instance, a lot of accidents have occurred because there are also speed limits on tires. Every car tire has got its speed limit. For instance, if you have fixed a tire, the speed limit is about 90 kilometers per hour, and it comes with letters. The letters, for example, P gives you a speed limit to, let's say, about 120 kilometers per hour. This is just an example I'm giving to you, but then there's an index for it. Now, if you are driving so fast, definitely you have a tire burst and you start blaming your grandmother or
big problem.
Your wife's mother to say they are witches and so. No, it is a simple thing that you do not know. So check the speed limit as well on your tires. Okay. Every car tire has got this speed limit.
Okay.
Then lastly,
Mr. Gabriel, before you wrap up on that one, if you could just indulge me, because we have callers on the line as well. Please indulge me and add these two. We have Joseph in Chifupraso. Joseph, good morning. Hello, Joe. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Great to hear from you. Now, what is your quick question?
Okay, first of all, let's show our appreciation to Mr. Gabriel for all the things he has been doing, free consultation. Thank you very much. And thank you also to you for doing a good job this morning. He was talking about, that was what I wanted to mention, about speed. There's some alphabets. If you buy these tires and the speed, they don't have the same numbers, then it means one tire will be running more than the other. So it is important when we are going to purchase tires too, we look at it very carefully that all the tires have the same alphabet. It means they have the same speed. If it is P, it should be P all over the four tires.
Right.
Other than that, you will not get a smooth running. And about the grits on the tire, you see the grits were made so that when you pass through water, it can go through the grid and the tire will have a very firm grounding on the ground. So we need to look at that one. That is why Mr. Gabriel said when 1.6 millimeters, it is less than that. It means the water cannot pass through that grip for the tire to have a firm grip on the ground.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Joseph, thank you so much. Adding on to our, education. Murtala is in Tamale. Good morning, Murtala.
Good morning. My name is Murtala from Tamale.
Great. What are your concerns?
Yeah. My own contribution to Mr. Gabriel about the expiring date of tie.
Right.
You know, when they manufacture a tie and the tie is supposed to last for 6 years, at times the store, the wholesale, so the wholesale and maybe the person selling it, when the tie is lying down in the wholesale for 3 years, when the tie is lying down there for 3 years.
Yes, please go ahead, Murtala.
For 3 years. So when you buy the tie, it means it will use only 3 years.
Mm. Right. So that's to reinforce the point that Mr. Gabriel was making, that it has a lifespan. So already if it's spent some 3 years, maybe on a concrete floor or something, when you get it, it's already in a bad state.
Another one is also a lot of organizations.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, Murtala, we're listening.
Yeah.
Please wrap up.
Yeah. Organization, if this organization, they follow the strictures of the rules and they change their tires in time. Individual people, you tell that you are driving a private man's car, somebody, you tell the person that the tire is one of let's buy tires. The person will ask you to manage. And which, as a car, if you win and anything happens, you fail a brake, you are in trouble.
Okay.
If you have oil from whatever, you can stop. But if you break the tie, it's only God that will help you.
Murtala from Tamale, point well made. Let's check out Moro from Akosombo. That's our last caller, and then Mr. Gabriel will answer all our questions. Do we have Moro in Akosombo?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Mr. Moro calling from Akosombo.
Sure, please go ahead, Moro.
What the man is saying is right. Seriously. Keep on doing this way. Because some of our drivers, in fact, if they are driving and you are in fact, it's dangerous. But one thing I know about our road is the road is not good. You see, potholes create a lot of accidents. So I beg you, if they can do something about our road, it will help small. Because rain is falling and the potholes is there, you can't say it. So I beg them, if they can do something about the potholes, it will help Ghana.
Thank you so much, all of you who took the time to call. Unfortunately, we can't take all the other calls coming through. But over to you, Mr. Gabriel. It's up to you now to answer all the questions, and you can sum up for us your concluding thoughts as well.
Well, I think the whole thing is whether to use good ties when it is raining or not, okay? And apart from the wiper blades that I mentioned, the most important on the vehicle are the ties, okay? Like the gentleman said, you need very good ties. That is it, because your ties play a major role, an integral role when it comes to raining, because the ties itself has got sipes, grooves, blocks, ribs, dimples, and shoulders. They all play a role on it. And I think we need a very good time to do a big education on car ties, and then we can talk about the speed and even weight. A lot of people carry wrong weight. The car tie has got its weight limit, and then you must know if you don't carry the right weight and then you are driving not only in the range, but you are driving on a flat road, you would have your vehicle moving to the left and right, which really means that the center of gravity of the vehicle is not holding because of the wrong, the weights that you have carried on the vehicle. So weather condition, the tie size, the manufacturing date, weight limits of the tie, as well as of the speed of the tie matters in this raining season. All what we need to do is to make sure that we have very good ties, because rubber in ties degrades over a period of time, irrespective of whether the tie is being used or not. And people must also know a lot more on ties, because ties have got its rotation arrow, its tread indicator, And then the air pressure we put in. I mean, I remember some years ago we did a program and I said, don't patronize the local vulcanizer because the equipment that he's using to, let me use this word, pump your tire is so wrong. Just get to the right place so you get the right air pressure. Check, open your door, and then your door has got all the information on your tires. If you are traveling, maybe with weight, it will tell you that, look, give me 35 psi, which is pounds per square inches. If you are not traveling, reduce it to about 30. Maybe if you are using a 4x4 or a pickup, there are a lot of information on car tires that we need to know. And if you have a puncture, please don't stop anywhere and allow a hammer to be used on your tire. And then after that, they'll put kinky. They are all troublemakers. And I'll tell you, if we have more time.
Well, Mr. Gabriel, unfortunately, we don't have too much time today, but what you've shared already, very intellectually stimulating. And we need to read a lot more. I know a lot more about the cars we're using. You've given me a lot of food for thought. And right after the show is done, there are some checks I'll be conducting on my own vehicle. But thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel, for your time.
Very much so.
We are very grateful. Hopefully, for those of you out there, you learned something that could save your life. We take a short break here. We'll be right back on the AM show.